Hey guys, welcome to Tell to Trevor. I'm your host, Trevor Shelley. Today on my podcast, I have.
Poppa Bear, Wade Kruger, one half of the stepdads.
Alright, Wade, what got you into wrestling?
Okay, so my earliest wrestling memories are definitely from my dad.
Okay.
Um, my dad grew up in New York City, going to the Madison Square Garden shows, watching like Bruno Sammartino and those guys back in the day. So he definitely got me into it when I was younger. Um, I'd say like I used to rent VHS tapes of like old pay-per-views instead of movies. I wasn't really as into movies, so I would rent old WCW pay-per-views and stuff. And I remember my neighbors letting me borrow a Coliseum Videos tape that had like Bret Hart versus Jerry Lawler and like all of this stuff. And I was like, I love this, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
Alright, if you could sign to any promotion, which one and why?
So for personal reasons, I would love um to get signed to ROH because ROH is what got me into independent wrestling.
Yeah.
Um like I some of my earliest memories of going to indie shows or going to ROH in like 2006 here in Jersey. Um so like that's I wouldn't be here without going to those shows. So I would say for personal reasons ROH would just be insane to do.
Mm-hmm. Who was your toughest opponent you have faced?
Ooh. Hmm. I would say, man, I mean, the toughest guy I faced ever would be Homicide. I wouldn't mess with Homicide. But that wasn't quite a full match, so I don't know if I would say my toughest opponent. Um, the guys that really pushed me and Rad to our limits of like doing crazy stuff and really going and having long matches would be the Ugly Ducklings. Um, Loved wrestling the Ugly Ducklings. Rob Killjoy is a madman. Um, so yeah, I would say the Ugly Ducklings. We got to wrestle them. Well, we got to wrestle Rob twice, Lance once. Yeah, I would say they're right up there. Main State Posse back in the day a few times for sure. Um, but yeah, I would have them like near the top of the list.
Alright, so switching topics from wrestling, what is your top 5 movies?
Ooh, okay. Uh, so sentimental like movies. I'll just go with like you want different things out of movies when you watch movies. So I'll say like the movies I've watched the most.
Yeah.
Um, Office Space, like absolute 90s classic, still makes me laugh every time I watch it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like a perfect um like comfort movie. Uh I love A League of Their Own. I've probably watched that like a dozen times. Um Scott Pilgrim versus the World, uh absolutely one of my nerdy favorites. And then underrated choice because I feel like it gets lost in his catalog. I love The Prestige by Christopher Nolan with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale as magicians. Fantastic movie. Highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. Like I know everyone loves Inception and The Dark Knight and all that stuff, but it's
Yeah.
a fantastic movie.
Alright, what is your top 5 TV shows?
Um, Number one is Twin Peaks. I've watched Twin Peaks more times than I can count. It's such a mind messer of a show. Like I've watched it several times and I still have no idea what's going on sometimes. Um, Psych. I love the show Psych. Community. Hmm. Um, The Simpsons. I mean, I grew up on The Simpsons. It's hard to not say The Simpsons. Watched it so much growing up. And let's throw a curveball in there for something. Actually, you know what? We'll just go with Malcolm in the Middle, also just a classic 90s sitcom.
Alright. If you had to book yourself in a 12-man tag, who would be on your team and why?
Okay, so Orange Cassidy, first
Okay.
choice. Um, Always wanted to work with Orange Cassidy. Love Orange Cassidy. Uh, I think we're just gonna fulfill some like nerdy wrestling goals here of guys that I would want to be in a ring with, but maybe not wrestle. Like I think I'd have more fun tagging with Orange Cassidy than wrestling him, so I'd want him
Yeah.
on my side. Um, Probably just because I absolutely love watching him wrestle and I'd love to see him come back in some capacity. I want Monty Brown on my team. I want to see somebody get pounced. Um, we'll throw Buff Bagwell on the team because I was a huge mark for Buff Bagwell when I was a kid. Um, if like if we're talking prime versions of themselves, I would love Bret Hart on the team. But I like Bret today. I don't think I would want in there
Yeah.
because I feel bad. So it will leave Bret out. Hmm, we'll go with my favorite Japanese wrestler of all time, Kensuke Sasaki, absolute monster of a man. I would let him just go in there and kill some people. Uh, I want Mike Skyros on the team of my indie brethren because I've never gotten to team with Skyros before, so I think we'd do some fun stuff in there. And then mm, give me Keith Lee. Let's see Keith
Keith
Lee
Lee.
take out. I want to see Keith Lee do a dive and take out all 12 guys in this match.
I mean, that's something.
It's a very weird team, but it'd be guys get guys who could do a little bit of everything. So
Yeah. That's what I enjoy, like when people tell me their picks and everything.
yeah,
Like I'll hear wrestlers from
it
like Florida and wrestlers from New York, California, Texas, and I'm like, half of these guys I don't recognize because they're like still
yeah.
indies or never been heard of.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like depending on who I was like wrestling, like I could put together teams that are like themed around like certain things. Like I'd love to do a six-man tag with guys that I used to backyard with who went pro. Like give me Alex Zane on the team. Give me um Tony Deppen on the team. Give me Daniel Makabe on the team. Like give me those like I would pick that'd be fun too. Uh like I would pick guys from like our old backyard wrestling forum who all went pro. Like Will Ospreay would be on that team, which is wild to think about. But
He's
yeah,
been said, I think, 3 or 4 times already, just this season alone.
I mean, he is like one of the best in the world right now.
Yes.
Um, and if he was healthy, I would have had Omega on my team for sure. Kenny Omega is like maybe my favorite wrestler ever, like human person wrestler. Um, I got to meet him as he was coming up because I used to do ringside photography. So like I used to hang out in the locker room and talk video games with Omega, and now like that was before that was like 15 years ago, and now he's like the best wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, for me, my dad, not my dad, my best friend took me to the NXT Vengeance Day down in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Mm.
And I was like, this is cool. Never been to like an actual wrestling pay per view taped live on TV. Well, the network,
Yeah,
Peacock. I'm like watching it all, and he's like, anybody stand up to you? And I was like, Roxanne Perez, for sure.
mm.
That's just because I basically like her on NXT more than all the other talent out there now.
Yeah,
And then we got to see HBK do his entrance in Charlotte. So I was like,
that's
well, the inner me is like all happy about this one.
yeah. I mean, HBK was one of my first favorites as a
Yeah.
kid for sure. Um, Him and Brett was they were like I mean, I didn't know the drama at the time between the two of them, but as a kid, I loved watching them wrestle each other. I even got to see Brett win the title as a kid. The only pay-per-view I ever went to until AEW Full Gear last year, 2 years ago, um, was SummerSlam '97 when I saw Brett win the title against Undertaker with Shawn as the special ref. So like I got to see those guys like in their prime and pretty awesome. Like I will always appreciate that and appreciate my dad for taking me to that.
And then my best friend got me tickets for the AEW match with Sting's retirement match.
Hmm.
And I told my dad about that, and he was like, "It's hilarious. I remember seeing Sting's first ever match." And
Yeah.
and I'm seeing his last ever match. So it shows like how long he's been in the industry.
Yeah, it's a shame for me. Like as a kid, I was actually more of a WCW guy than a WWF guy. And but WCW never really came up here. They were always more the southern
Yeah,
promotion, and like maybe you'd get them up in like Virginia or like Pennsylvania, but
yeah,
never all the way up to the Northeast because that's where WWE was headquartered. So
yeah.
I never got to see those guys. But I did get to see Sting finally wrestle all these years later at it was at Full Gear because he it was
Him and Darby.
actually he might not have been it might have I've been to two AEW shows. I always forget which was which. The Full Gear I was at was the one with the Luchasaurus versus Jungle Boy cage match. And then and when MJF won the belt. And then I think I saw Sting and Darby on like AEW like Dynamite or something. I don't know.
Well, so for my dad, I remember the story too much because he talks about it every time I have a friend that's in the wrestling industry. He's like, I dated a girl in that was related to the Crockett's.
Oh,
So he would go backstage and meet all the wrestlers,
very cool.
and then when Flair signed to WCW, Ric Flair would go to the bars, drink with a bunch of wrestlers, and then he would yell around for everybody.
I mean, that sounds like Flair.
Yeah,
That's like the least surprising Ric Flair story. Like I feel like
he's
him hanging out drinking and buying drinks for everybody sounds like the most Ric Flair thing possible.
yeah. All right, back to the questions. If you could work with any wrestler, who would it be and why?
Hmm. Um, man, I'm just trying to think. See, I always try to think of these in terms of like who would I mesh well with? Because there's guys that I love watching, but I don't think I'd have a good match with that are like maybe more because I love watching technical wrestling, but I'm terrible at it. So like I would definitely want to go against somebody who I think I could have a good like hard hitting match with.
Yeah.
Um, Probably. I mean, I'd love to like just for um the nostalgia of it for me is
Yeah.
watching him. I would love to wrestle like Kenta, uh, just because I loved watching him in ROH back in the day, and um, I mean he's still going and he's still awesome. So I think, I mean, I'd probably regret it afterwards, but I'd love to work somebody like Kenta.
All right. If you were in a TV show, what would the TV show be called and why?
Oh, so I mean, it would probably be something. I feel like it would be based around my wrestling character, so it would probably be something with me as a dad. Um, Probably like it'd probably be called like Bear Cubs, and it would be like me as like a dad who, um, it would probably be pretty similar to like Full House, honestly. Where like I end up as like the dad on his own with like several kids, but like no wife in the picture, and like I would have my wrestling friends helping me take care of the kids, like in like an Uncle Jesse, Uncle Joey style way, and it would be full of shenanigans and um, silliness.
All right. If you were in a video game, which video game and why?
I mean, I think for my own sanity, as much as I'd love to be in games I love, I don't think I'd want to be like in some of these games and have to like I don't want to be in Raccoon City in Resident Evil. So like I'm gonna pet, but like I would love to live on the island from Animal Crossing. So yeah, put me in Animal Crossing. That's I have friends who are talking animals, and I get to live on an island and not work. Sounds great. Just put me in Animal Crossing.
Right. All right. What got you to be a pro wrestler?
So uh, like I said, I got back into independent wrestling in the mid 2000s um, via my friends in high school, who we had a group that we all watched WWE pay-per-views with, and started going to indie shows. Met a bunch of friends through those indie shows, and we started backyard wrestling together. And then there hit a point where I felt like I was just getting pretty good at backyard wrestling. Like we had a ring and everything. Like we literally had like a full ring in my friend's backyard. We had friends who were wrestlers who taught us how to run the ropes and stuff and how to bump. And like a lot of them were kind of getting over it and done with it. And I was like, I feel like I'm just getting good. Let's keep going with this. Decided to make the jump um, and go pro. I already had kind of the basis of knowing some of the basics of wrestling, so just had to learn how to work a crowd and really get in front of an audience and make them react. And yeah, like my friends got me into it, and them stopping made me decide to keep going with it because I wanted to take that next step and keep doing it.
All right. So I have this segment to close it out. It's called Trev Shock. It's like
What was it
Stone
called?
Cold
Sorry, you're
Trev
breaking up a little
Shock.
bit. Okay.
So it's like those pop questions where you got a certain amount of time to answer them.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready. Fire it up.
All right. So you got 30 seconds to answer these six questions.
Okay.
All right. Who was your mentor for wrestling?
Johnny Cockstrong,
Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Bret the Hitman Hart.
What was your first show you worked?
Um, It was a show for a place called Nova Promotions that drew like 12 fans, and it was terrible, and it made me contemplate quitting wrestling in my first show.
How many belts have you won?
Uh, I want to say like six,
Six.
I think.
Favorite wrestling brand?
Brand? Probably New Japan.
New Japan. Favorite Looney Tunes character?
Uh, Marvin the Martian.
Marvin. All right, that was Trev Shock. And then where can they find you on social media?
So I'm all over social media as at Wade Kruger one, Kruger like Freddy with the extra e in there. At Wade Kruger one on Twitter, Instagram, uh, I think Facebook. At regular Wade Kruger without the one on Blue Sky. I just went over there because why not? The more you're branded, the better. And then you could find all the Stepdads Wrestling content at Stepdads Wrestle, all one word. Don't make it two words. Do not put a space between Stepdads Wrestle or because you'll get weird results that I am not liable for you coming across on the internet. um, but yeah, at Stepdads Wrestle or at Wade Kruger one.
All right. Thank you, Wade, for being on the podcast. I
Good,
hope
thanks
to
for
see
having
you
me.
some more on GTS Wrestling.
Yes, hopefully soon. I'd like to get back. It's just tough with the schedule sometimes, but
Yeah.
um, Rad Dad's out there living his dream. I'm at home watching the Step Kids so he can go out and try to win this belt and beat Spino, who's a jerk.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Wade, for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.